Hello everybody. Good to see you all here, and sorry I've missed a couple. Actually, I missed last week. I was in Connecticut teaching a class to 9 students up there. A lot of fun. And now I'm just seeing how this is working. I've got a fancy new microphone here. It is a Rode. It's this little wireless microphone, and this is the first time I've used it, so I'm just gonna very gently set it in there. And it's kind of funny. There's this little fluffy. It looks like a mouse, but I haven't actually put it on there. I'm not sure if it's necessary, but it actually takes quite a lot to get it on there because there's 2 little clips here, and they slot in there. So I don't know. Let me know how. It sounds much better. Good. Well, you know what? I have been using this guy for a long time, and it's wired, and it's this big long cord tethered into all sorts of things here. So I am really hoping that I'm just going to be able to have this thing on here and let it work. I can walk out in the other part of my shop if I forget something without being tethered and have to unplug everything and then plug it back in again, and probably something along the way screws up. So, all right, so let's see here. Mic sounds much better. Good to hear. And Bruce from Minnesota, welcome. You do not need that damper if you're inside and your voice is coming from only one direction. Well, good. I was kind of wondering, though, if it was a background noise thing with this fuzz. I know it's a wind diverter, but it definitely looks like a little tiny mouse or a rat or something. But I don't plan on doing anything outside, so all right. Well, good. That's good to hear because you know, it's funny because I bought this thing, and when you look at it online, I was expecting it to be this square thing about this big. So you get 2 of these little guys. These are about 1.5 inches square. One hooks up to the back of the computer, and then one just placed anywhere. You can probably just clip it. It's got a little clip. And it's very easy. It was very easy to connect. It started getting really complicated when I was looking at these wireless microphones. You know, you had to, all these, all the gauges and making sure everything connected. And last time I tried using a wireless, all of the computers and the cameras and everything really created some crazy interference. So it was never very nice. Nice sound. Anyway, didn't work. All right, so excuse me. Well, hey Judy, how are you doing? Well, welcome everybody. I had a chance to see a little bit of the colors changing up in Connecticut. It was very nice up there. Perfect week, about 70 degrees in the day and maybe 50 degrees at night, but it was really nice. But I'm back, and I am going to be back here for a while. I'm not going to be flying anywhere anyway. Next month, I'll be teaching at Roy Underhill's. I'll be teaching the Green Man there, and then, let's see, that class is full, I believe, but that is going to be, let's see, November 12th, 13th, and 14th, and then I'm going to be in Savannah, Georgia. I don't actually have that class up on my website. So if you're interested, it's a small class at the Technical College in Savannah, Georgia. So these are all within driving distance. It's only 2 hours away. So let me know. I haven't actually put that up on the schedule. I should, but not that organized. So anyway, if you're interested, if you're close by and you want to take that class, it's just a weekend class, Saturday, Sunday. So, all right, so today I am going to be going over more of the photographs. I got a little bit more organized with what I can show you. The only problem is, and I still haven't really taken the time to do this, figured out how to do this, is many of the photographs, and I suppose that's position of the camera that I took the pictures, they're sideways, and I would literally have to go in every single original photograph, rotate it, and then upload it into whatever I'm using. So it was just not there today. It took about 2 hours to do it as is, to load them up. So your neck is going to be kind of sore by going like that to try to see these things sideways. But anyway, sorry about that. But at least you can see the details. That's what it's all about, right? You know, sideways, right side up, whatever. It's you still get to see the photos. So I am going to, hello, welcome D-Wags. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make knee a little bit smaller if I can find knee. Anyway, let me just something here. I'm trying. There we go. Get out of the way. I can talk about it. Okay, so I'm going to start. Let's see. I'm actually going to go to the order of the places that we saw. So the first one was All Hallows Church, and this was in London. Just to show you some of these. This is the it's a baptismal font cover, and let me just flip through here. War Machine, I'm just reading your comment. There should also be a flip feature that will allow you to rotate the item on the fly. I haven't seen that in the OBS program that I use. Not so far anyway. Just see. So as I go, okay. So now these are some of the details of the baptismal font and the actual cover for it. And I'm gonna go through this a couple times, but I did want to show you some of these, some of the details of it are just lovely. And that's we've got some of the people's in the background, and some of the people that joined us on the tour. And so that is the top of it. It's actually hanging from a chain. And up there. Okay. And unfortunately, that's what I was telling you about, that just automatically tips sideways. So, question, you're saying that there is actually a way to turn this? Not that easy. Mixer, see? No, it's not, unless there's form. Oh, maybe. Let's see, flip other way. I think maybe we do have something here, but I'm going to have to probably do transform. Come on. It's getting there. Hold on. Rotate 90. There we go. Now I just have to shrink it down. So unfortunately, if I have to do that with every single one of them, it's going to get really, really old. Oops. Now I have to shrink this. Yeah, that's gonna. Anyway, there's that's the full size of it. That's what you're looking at, and then unfortunately, I'm gonna have to turn it back and do the other one. Yeah, so everything's flipped sideways. Oh, that's just not gonna work. They're all kind of grouped together. Yeah. Anyway, let me make this. So we're gonna have to just leave it as is. That transform. Okay, because I think it's more important to see them full size like this, and then we'll just look at them. Unfortunately, it just takes this whole lot of these photographs and flips them all. Can't do individual. All right, so just take a look at some of the details on this. This is incredible. It is fully three-dimensional, so you could go all the way around it, and you can see a lot of the details and the undercutting, and just amazing on that. And what this is actually, it's all attached to a kind of a three-sided base, I guess. So you can kind of see it on this one. You can see one of the sides there, but it's three-sided and it's all attached to it. It's not all like one piece of wood sculpted away. There's a lot of layering happening with this. And the details are amazing, and I'm just seeing if I can show you what that side of the piece is. You can kind of see it on the side. Just tip your head. So there's a side there. So it's a relatively small triangular base, and everything is attached to this. So there's an incredible amount of layering to this. And he was very good at disguising those layers too. They were always at a place where you literally had to really look sideways at it and almost look behind it. And that was a big part of this trip, was all of us trying to sort of get so close up that we could get some of these sideways views. So and we've got little angels, and you can see there's a join line there where the wings are attached and the arm is attached. So there are parts that it was actually built up. And more details, more photos just showed up. I loaded up like 20 photos for each of these locations. Now all of a sudden more are showing up. Anyway, I think they just sort of picking them random. All right. Starting over from the first one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Now you can actually see in some of the details here the little slight breakages. If you look at the one just above the hand, there's a tiny little break there, and so these are probably they probably have been repaired at some point, but it's just incredibly delicate. And incredibly delicate, but very, very sturdy, surprisingly. This is 300 years old. Okay, now I want to go on to the next one, and that's St. Mary's Ab Church. Okay, and this is the large one. Skip through here. I'll be back around. But this is actually what I was taking pictures of. It's the reredos at the front of the church. And also, if you look to the left, there's a pulpit there that was really beautifully carved. It's hard to tell whether Grinling Gibbons carved that or not, but he and his probably 50 apprentices carved the reredos. And so a lot of the details are from that. And that is the pulpit, really beautifully done, but there are just some details that might not, he doesn't quite often that type of flat relief carving, even though it's incredibly beautiful. His is a lot more three-dimensional. Now, having said that, the little cherubs, that's a very typical detail that Grinling Gibbons does. Very realistic and slightly scary cherubs. They've got really expressive faces. And so now we can get a little close up and you can see some of the details, some of the undercutting. You can look behind it and see that yes, there is actually wood behind this. It's not like this is just delicate little feathery things. There is actually some substantial amount of wood behind it to support, but it's not really visible from the front. And another view, incredible details. Now, supposedly, his apprentices, and this was kind of a theory because there wasn't anything really proven, but the the details, like a particular style of flower, like the tulip or a rose or grapes or something like that, one apprentice carved just that. And so they became very, very good at that particular detail. And so that's then they all just worked together. They worked on their pieces, but each individual detail that they worked on, they just became experts at. And that's why the actual precision and the details of all of these are just stunning. But you could see kind of a systematic thing. And Grinling Gibbons designed these, and he also probably participated in some of the carving. I mean, initially in his career, he was heavily into the carving. That's how he became quite famous. But after a while, when he started getting the really big commissions from the king and Hampton Court and Windsor Palace, it was too much for one person. So he involved other carvers, apprentices, and but kept it within a design where you could actually identify what was his. And some really beautiful design there. This tulip one that's sort of in the upper section, that is a very typical design. These sort of drop flowers, I don't know what kind of flowers they are, pomegranate, these little flat flowers with a hole in them. They're kind of like a phlox, I guess, or I don't know. There's a name for them. But that's very typical. They usually come in bunches, and that's a very typical design. In a way, they're kind of simple. They're really quite flat flowers, but they're layered heavily. But it's a very typical design. And there's another view of the whole design of the reredos. And the bird in the center is actually a pelican. And I just learned this because I'm actually going to be carving a commission for this similar design for this. I believe it's a Catholic church that uses this motif quite a lot. It's a pelican piercing his side to feed the babies. And so the babies are eating off the sustenance of the mother, and therefore really the sacrifice that Jesus had done, and that's what it's representing, is the sacrifice of his blood. And so the pelican feeding his young is actually a really surprisingly more popular design than I had ever realized. The funny thing is, before I went to England, I was commissioned with one of these. And I never heard of that, never seen it. And ever since then, I'm seeing them everywhere. So it's a very, I guess, it's a very common design. And so you can see the nest. There's three little babies, and the mother pelican has pierced sides. Anyway, interesting symbolism. And all right, so there's some more close-ups. That's really a lovely design. I think I might just borrow that one and try to redo it. Different styles of these, very naturalistic, very cool designs. And you can see some of the damage along the way too. Age, and who knows, maybe some attempt at repairs. And there's a detail of the sculpture of the pelican. And that was gold leaf finish. And some more designs, are actually peeking around from the underside, and you can see a little bit of the layers. Do you see underneath the the grapes. You can see a little bit of a step there. Unfortunately, I wish I could sort of point to it, and have to figure out how to do that. War Machine, is there a way I can like put a put a pointer out there? Anything? Yeah. Anyway, so you can kind of see a little bit of layers, but even so, there's that one flower that's kind of sticking out on its own, but still holding on. And again, some more sideways view. There's some more details in that church. Beautiful acanthus leaves scrolling. And we're back to that one. So let me just go through this again. That's that pulpit. Just seeing these again. And let me know if I'm going too fast and you want to see certain ones again, I can go through. There are a lot of them. I mean, I picked out just like a tiny fraction of photographs that I actually took. And some of these, like the details of these, the swags on the right and left side, they go out 5 to 6 inches depth. A lot of depth. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next one, which is St. Paul's Cathedral. And for the longest time, I was there 3 or 4 years ago, they would not let me take photographs. But they have changed their policy now. You can take photographs at St. Paul's Cathedral. Jonathan, he was a conservator there. Jonathan, he gave us a tour, actually located me on Instagram and said, hey, if you're coming to St. Paul's, come in and I'll give you a tour of the choir stall and the choir that has all the cherubs and everything, and I'll show you photographs of that. But yeah, that was amazing because he actually had been doing some restoration on the choirs and blending the old with the new. So that was what he was doing. And it was really interesting to hear what he's working on. This, okay. Now this is interesting. This is oak, and you don't see Grinling Gibbons carving in oak much because you can't get the full depth that the lime wood, which is normally what he carves in. But this particular is in oak, and yes, sometimes you just had to go with what the client wanted. Okay, and this is some details. Now you can see the slightly different colors, so he's still in the process of blending the colors. So the old ones, the old carvings are the beige color, and then the whiter carvings are the newer repairs. And it's quite a process. I can't even imagine doing that, coloring them and fading them. And that's sideways again, obviously, but there's 3 of the cherubs, the cherub faces. Again, they're just so realistic and it's slightly disturbing because they just way too realistic. And same one. And here's another. This is part of the choir area, and you can see a little bit of color pairs. More cherubs. This is actually a stone carving in St. Paul's, and I honestly don't remember what he said about this, if this is actually a Grinling Gibbons, but he did do some Grinling Gibbons, or Grinling Gibbons did do some stone carving along the way in the very similar style. But I think I just took a picture of this because it's pretty. And of course, there's a sideways view of the inside of St. Paul's Cathedral. Absolutely incredible. You go in there, it goes on forever. And Jonathan, the conservator, he was kind enough to put light on it, and so we could really take some good photographs. You go in the center and center of the dome. All right, here's some more. This is what I was telling you about the cherubs. Some of the more details on the choir stall. More freaking babies. That's starting over. So I'm going to go ahead and just move through these again, get a closer look at them. And so I would love to do another one of these for a live stream. Just trees. You know, there's areas that you can do just sections. That's actually my husband's head right there. See, he's got he's got his COVID ponytail happening there. hasn't cut his hair since last March before. Oh, something weird. Okay, there. Ponytail, very French. Was in Europe after all. Yeah. Well, he also was a sailor, so you know, isn't that part of it? You're supposed to have the, what do they call it, a cue? Now, the interesting thing is I haven't really picked up a chisel since we came back, except for doing teaching last week, but I haven't really done anything of my own. And I don't know if it's just like too intimidating or what. I don't know what that is. But I haven't picked up a chisel since I've come back from seeing all of this Grinling Gibbons. And I don't know if I just have to sort of wait and, you know, let it kind of sink in and settle in. And I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully I'll get back into it. I have a little bit of time to focus. All right, now I want to go on to the next one. That afternoon, after we went to St. Paul's Cathedral, we went and saw a show at back. Bear with me. Let me just load this up real quickly. I don't know if you can, but basically I'm just loading up a slideshow. I had it ready, but I didn't add it. Go. Okay, so I think this. Oh, that's size of the screen. Does that all the time. It shows up as massive picture. Okay, get rid of the. Okay, so one of my claim to fame is carving one of, or actually being to carve both of the capitals for the Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. And I did this when I was a student. So we ended up watching Romeo and Juliet last, a 2-hour show at the Globe Theatre, and I got to see carving that I did years ago, and unfortunately the lights or the security cameras or whatever it is they just completely destroyed the whole feel of it. But do what you got to do. And let's see. And this is the stage. Unfortunately, we weren't able to actually photograph during the show itself. It was a weird show, I have to say. It was very modern. None of the sort of classical Shakespeare outfits. It was all extremely modern. And Romeo and Juliet, and they took some serious artistic liberties in the story. Now, I am not a Shakespeare aficionado, that's for sure. But I did ask somebody who was. One of the guys that came with us actually studied Shakespeare in college, and he said, yeah, there was a little bit of artistic license. Now, interesting, I don't know if you can see, there's actually plastic wrapped around those columns, like red plastic. It used to be white and black, sort of faux painted, make it look like marble. So I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do there, or are they in the middle of restoring them, or what? But I thought it was kind of interesting, but they're basically wrapped in red plastic. See that? So I don't know if they're trying to stop the moisture from leaving or getting to it, or I really don't know. So anyway, yeah, that was fun to work on that. Ron Hester, who is a woodcarver in the Shropshire area, he was the main carver, and I got to work with him on this project. A very large aircraft hangar that we worked in northern England, and it was freezing cold. It was in the middle of February, and it was the whole entire column and the capital were cut out of one tree from the Queen's Forest. The Queen gave permission to cut these two trees down, and it was cut down about 2 months before I started carving it. So it actually, as I was carving it, the grain was opening up very, very gently, and actually on even some of the leaves, they were sort of falling off. Because it was basically we were carving in green wood, and I still have some tools that have the sort of brown, silvery, dark silver tannin on the tools themselves. But that was really, really a very fun project. Okay, so the next place we went to was Petworth House. That is a home hour and a half outside of London. So basically our whole trip was based in London, but we just took several day trips out and then went to quite a few places in London. So it was really nice because you didn't have to unpack, you didn't have to move, you didn't have to relocate. It was just you had your home for 9 days basically, which was really good. And there's enough Grinling Gibbons things within the area of London that it worked out really well. That's just sideways. So this is Petworth House. Now there is one room that is absolutely filled with carvings, and partially Grinling Gibbons carvings and partially other carvers. But the photographs that I've taken here are mostly Gibbons. And it's interesting if you see side by side, actually, but this one is a good example. See the little stone marble statue that is actually surrounded by a different style. See the leaves. That is not Grinling Gibbons. I don't know who it was, but the Grinling Gibbons is the main surround of the large painting. But you do see just slight differences. And once you really start studying the carvings, it's really is amazing what subtle differences you can find. In these more details. And this was a place that the curators kind of yelled at us because we got way too close. Sort of when you tip your head sideways and your head hits the wall, so you can actually see the the behind the scenes. Then it's like, no, you're getting a little too close. I like this one. I think this was one of the ones where they said, "Back up, please." Very nice about it. And this one is just amazing when you see the basket that is covered. Now, my guess it probably is a layered carving where the basket is applied in front. That's why I would do it. But who knows? Maybe they went that direction and just figured out all that. But I mean, you can kind of see with the split down the middle. So there might have been some applique on those cherubs again. There's another view of that basket. War Machine asking, how does the constant humidity of London affect these hundreds of year old wood? It's actually a good question because they're constantly monitoring and they're going in and measuring the humidity, making sure it all stays very stable. Now, that's a good question because obviously before air conditioners and controlling that kind of environment, there wasn't a lot of control. Now, I don't know if it's the typical heat humidity that is in South Carolina that you have to deal with, not that type of humidity, but I don't know. Maybe just the lime wood itself could handle it. But that right now, the ones that the houses that they do have, there's actually people, daily gauging and monitoring the humidity level to keep it breaking off. And maybe it does break off. I don't know. Pieces break off and they stick them back on. There's a lot of restoration done on the Grinling Gibbons pieces. South Carolina's so humid. Yeah, it's just that sort of sticky, hot humidity here. That's he also did a lot of musical instruments, and this is a really good example of that. There's another panel that's actually in Italy. It's called the Kosomo Panel, and beautiful, massive thing, and just musical instruments and the cravat. And I'll show you photographs of that in a minute. Oh, I hope I have photographs of that ready. Anyway, we'll say that. But yeah, and even like the strings on the violin are made of wood. Side view. Okay, that'll be my next project. Live stream. That'll be the next 3 years project for my live stream. Okay, so now what's the next one? Just a quick one, the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. Unfortunately, when we went to Oxford, King's College, which has got really beautiful examples of his work, was closed for COVID reasons. They're really restricting visitors going to the colleges. But there are the Ashmolean Museum. They had three frames. Unfortunately, I've got 2 photographs here of the frames, but the third photograph got really blurry. But it's interesting because it's not quite like all the ones that we just saw at the Petworth House. There's the depth, but there's just not the volume of carving. But then frames are really not meant to either. There's framing. They don't want to take over the actual painting. But I find myself more often than not going to some of these big art galleries that have amazing paintings and uh, very famous painters, and all I'm doing is sitting there looking at the frames. Like, oh yeah, maybe I should look at that Rembrandt or something. So yeah, I have done that, realizing that after I've been studying the frame for 10 minutes, realizing I'm looking at multi-million-dollar Rembrandt painting. Yeah, I suppose I should appreciate that too. Yes, one-track mind. But this is a little bit more what you're looking at. Typical Grinling Gibbons. Got the sort of drapery down the side, and then okay, and the next one is Compton Verney. This was an actual show that we went to, Grinling Gibbons show, and when we first organized the trip, we didn't really know where this was. It was actually in London for a while, and then the Saturday that we were there, it moved up and started to be an exhibit up in Compton Verney, which is a wonderful country home near Stratford-on-Avon. So if you have an opportunity, I have no idea how long they're going to be there. You have to go on the Grinling Gibbons Society website, and I would encourage you to do that, to look at and see what exhibits, special shows they have on. But if you probably check, I want to say they're going through January of next year up there, and then they'll probably change the locations and put it somewhere else. But it's a very nice exhibit, a lot of good examples of carvings, a lot about the history of, and walking you through the entire year to year to year, what things were done when, what his story was. And we almost missed this one, but fortunately our tour group, the tour organizer, was very good, and he took him a long time to figure out how to get a coach to get us the 2 hours up and out of there, because at the time there was first of all a driver shortage and also a gas shortage. So yeah, there was a lot of obstacles, but we made it finally, and it was well worth the effort of getting up there. So some of the details of that panel. And sideways again. So the lime wood is similar to the basswood, but it actually holds up a bit more, I think. It's a little bit more solid, a little more durable, because I can't imagine some of the details in this. If I carved it in basswood, I just don't think it would hold up 300 years. So it would be the same as linden. Now this is actually a student that carved this, kind of an interesting tale, using some of the elements of Grinling Gibbons design. So they had professional carvers and students also contribute to this exhibit. And this, they were showing about remember the St. Paul's Cathedral, the choir. These are some of the details that they had pieced together. Shows you how they're all laid out. And this is just one of the quotes that was there. There is no instance of a man before Gibbons who gave to wood the loose and airy lightness of flowers, chained together the various productions of the elements, a free disorder natural to each species. Lovely. Horace Walpole, a big influence in Grinling Gibbons' career and definitely helped him through a lot of world. All right, now here's another one of those realistic cherubs. This is a sweet one. It's not too sweet. And this is another student's carving. More of that panel. Now I'm going to go and do, actually there were so many of them that I sort of overloaded that one. I've got to do another one here. Now, he liked to carve dead animals. There was a lot of hunters, and that was sort of a big theme, is having, you know, in your sort of hunting home, have rabbits and birds and other dead things hanging. So this is actually, if you tip it this way, you're actually hanging down. Pheasants, I suppose that would be. You can tell I'm not a hunter. And this is the tools from David Esterley. These are David Esterley's tools, and David Esterley is the American who wrote Grinling Gibbons and the Art of Carving, and he also wrote the book on the lost carving. A wonderful book on just the story of of actually replacing a swag at Hampton Court after it burned, part of that burn. And so, and he, unfortunately, David Esterley passed away about 2 years ago, and so they're displaying some of his tools here. He obviously did a lot of shopping around London, because these are a lot of probably Addis tools, and got a lot of the older, nice tools. In fact, I'm looking at that. I don't see very many new ones at all. You can usually tell by the handles. You have a comment here. Alexander Grabov, he told me in Russia or basswood is called lipa, or lime, not like. Oh, I see. Russia, lime or basswood. Okay, it's called lipa. Okay, yeah. And then there's linden also. So the three of them are kind of in the same family, but there are differences. I think probably lime and linden are probably a little bit more similar, but there is a softness. I did not meet David Esterley. Sadly, no, I did not. But I did. I have an opportunity to email back and forth his wife, and she seems very, very sweet. And she had seen some of the photographs and some of the things I've posted on my newsletter and photographs and everything. Just a very sweet acknowledgement, appreciation of. All right, more dead birds. So, but incredible detail, fully three-dimensional, pretty much. Maybe a little bit of the flat on the back just goes against the wall, but really that is as three-dimensional as you get. And the details are birds. And there's actually a picture of David Esterley. Sorry, David. That's a picture of Grinling Gibbons, posing and looking very aristocratic. And you can see, yeah, they allowed you to get very, very close up ways to these also. And this actually was on their display. This was just where they were trying to show you the side views, and you actually don't see on that layer. That just looks like it's showing how it angles down, but you see how hefty the wood is behind it. And so when you look face on, it looks very, very delicate, very light, because the edges themselves are sharp, but then those angled back they're not visible, but still that's how it's held together for so long, is because there is a lot of real substantial surface of wood and wood to be able to really hold it together. And you can see actually on this one, there's a little bit of a flat right at the tail there. So that it is still considered relief, not fully three-dimensional, but it's as as three-dimensional as you could possibly get, really. Okay, Rich Frog, let's see. I still plan to compile a list of Gibbons carvings in America, and there are several. I would love to know that list. I thought of listing them on Facebook so others may add to the list as it goes along. Yeah, I would love to. Let me know. I don't know if you have my email or not, but you can use my website and just contact if you need that. But yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to know. I know there's one in Chicago that I missed when I was there. Probably a few at the Met in New York. So yeah. All right, so now that was all of Compton Verney. Next one is Hampton Court, right? And this was the one that David Esterley did the repair on. Unfortunately, his carving, the one that he actually wrote the book about, was in the private quarters and was not. We weren't able to see that. That's we were able to go into two rooms that had Grinling Gibbons carvings. But this is just a lovely, lovely. So the swags on either side of there's the drapery itself is just amazing. Looks so realistic. Yeah, sorry about the sideways photos. Yeah, that's the top of one of the swags. And this was the photograph of the whole tour group, right? 12 people, and then my husband and myself, the center. But really great group of people. Yeah, an amazing. Showed one of those. Actually, if you look at the detail, the style of carving where you've got these swag, the flowers, sort of the tiny flowers surrounding, that was very similar to the one that David Esterley carved. That is just an amazing one. I think I'm going to enlarge that. Affect that. There we go. I'm going to show you some close-up of this. You have so many layers. Yeah, that is a really beautiful. I mean, even the acanthus leaves on the border. Well, there is a theory about a pea pod. If he puts a pea pod in a design, and if it's open, that means that it's been completed, and the actual job has been completed and happy client. And if it's closed, then that means that he's not. But everybody that I asked, the other way around. Anyway, I can't remember which one it was. But everybody that I asked about this, they said, no, that's just a theory out there. It's not. But yes, Rich Frog, he was amazing. And so now I have to actually get back into carving, and I need to, but it's a little intimidating right now, to be honest with you. So anyway, I think that is pretty much it. So yeah. So how many people are gonna now do their Grinling Gibbons Grinling Gibbons carving? Well, this was the one that I did just on live stream, a layered carving, but now I'm looking at it going, wow, that is so far from Grinling Gibbons. It is. So I'm looking at that now going, man, I could have made it at least 3 times that thick, and now 5 layers. And anyway, it's my feeble attempt. Now this was done before I went on the Grinling Gibbons tour. Now I have to, so the pressure's on. See, I know what I'm in for now. So, Indiana Way, not a tool marking site. They sanded, their carvings. It's using a reed, but you open up a reed that has abrasive in it, and they actually sat there. So they probably had a couple, 10 or 15 apprentices going and sanding all the surfaces too. Well, anyway, thank you very much for watching all of these slides and all of the photographs. I'm kind of hesitantly suggesting that I might do another tour in May, but I don't know. Anybody interested out there? Because it's going to be nicer weather. It's still going to be the whole Tercentenary is going to still be going on, so there'll be exhibits. Hopefully, COVID won't be creating all of the roadblocks along the way. So anyway, if there's anybody interested, I almost don't want to repeat it because it was just so perfect and so beautiful, and I'm hesitant, okay? But I'm just asking if anybody is... Anyway, but thank you again. And I mentioned that I've got a new little microphone, so sound is good and better than normal. Yes, I'm hoping. I'm not tethered to cords everywhere. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. You have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. From now on, hopefully through to December, from what I checked on my calendar, I am going to be doing a weekly live stream. So I'll be doing it Tuesday at 1 o'clock for the foreseeable future. Don't know what I'm going to do, but maybe I'll do another Grinling Gibbons. I'll see. Anyway, happy carving, everybody. Thank you for watching. Bye.